Hey everybody, Star here, and this is my low commentary let's play of Suzerain. The idea behind this let's play is that Suzerain is a game with no audio narration or voice acting. So if you're looking for a no commentary let's play of the Suzerain run, it would normally be incredibly silent and therefore require your full on-screen attention. So the idea is I will narrate and read out all dialogue and options in the game so that one can follow along by listening, as one often does with YouTube videos. Let's jump in. Name our new game. And the Republic of Swordland is the base game of Suzerain. The Kingdom of Rizia is the country the DLC is set in. But we'll start with the base game, where we will play as Anton Rain, who has been selected or elected the 4th President of Swordland amidst a deep recession, demands for reform and external pressures. The starting date is 1954. Swordland is a major power in the region. Its economy is in recession, has a population of 37 million, and it is a presidential republic. So we will go through the prologue in this video, and then we will do one turn per video to keep them short, easy to follow, and logically segmented. Let's start the story. You are my enslavement and my freedom. You are my flesh burning like a raw summer night. You are my country. Nazim Hikmet Ran. 1908. A new beginning. Kingdom of Swordland. You opened your eyes to this world. You came from 1. A wealthy family in the city of Lockhaven. 2. A middle-income family in the city of Hullsword. 3. An impoverished family in the city of Dare. 3. Your parents named you Anton. As the only child of a farmer, you spent your childhood among wheat fields. Life was not easy. You were too poor to afford a good education. The Rain family was caring, regardless of the economically dire situation. Your parents always did their best to support you. The years passed. 1923, September 9th. Formation of the Republic. During a history class at school, bells started to ring unexpectedly. You heard a loud commotion outside. As everyone tried to figure out what was going on, the principal announced the historic revolution. The kingdom was no more. The Republic of Swordland was born. 1. You did not fully understand. 2. You were happy that you had the day off. 3. You were somewhat worried. 2. 1926. After graduation, you passed the university exam with high marks. Even though your family was poor, the public education system made it possible to go to university. You had the opportunity to choose between several studies. You chose 1. Law at the Hullsword State University. 2. Economics at the Lockhaven Business School. 3. History at the Dare University of Culture. 1. During the first year, you attended a lecture with David Fissy. He was a well-known diplomat from the Foreign Ministry and the son of the President. After observing the hall in silence, he explained how the Supreme Court is obstructing justice in Swordland. He stated that laws should be applied fairly, and that even the members of the Supreme Court are subject to the same laws. 1. You agreed in principle. 2. You questioned what you were being taught. 3. Your only concern was passing the exams. 1. 1927, May 22nd. The coup of 27. Soldiers entered the campus in the evening ahead of the first election. Many were in shock as the uniformed men created a security cordon and started arresting the teachers. A group of students started gathering in protest. Along with your best friend, Peter Vectorn, you decided to 1. Protest with the students. 2. Avoid any confrontation. 1. One of the officers made a loud announcement that echoed through the campus. General Lutheran declared martial law in order to restore the administration. Please stand back and disperse to your rooms. You joined the students that slowly marched towards a large group of soldiers. Suddenly, the soldiers charged. A student fell and was trampled as everybody started running away. 1. You held your ground. 2. You ran off. 1. The soldiers beat you relentlessly. It was a gloomy year. The arrested teachers were replaced by those that promoted conformism to the state. Paul's sword turned a blind eye to the things that were happening. You didn't want to stay idle and decided to join 1. A human rights group. 2. A student council. 3. A political debate group. 3. The dozens of debates helped you hone your oratory skills while also helping you grow your network. Even though the discussions between different groups often became heated, you all grew from sharing ideas. In one of the meetings, Peter Vectorn introduced you to a classmate of his, Monica. You were immediately attracted to 1. Her intelligence. 2. Her beauty. 3. Her diligence. 3. He mentioned to you that she was a volunteer for the Swordish League of Women, an organisation campaigning for women's rights. You, 1. Told her you wholeheartedly supported her cause. 2. Weren't particularly interested in women's rights, but asked her to dinner nonetheless. 1. The politically charged environment led you to 1. Join the Red Youth, the Socialists. 2. Join the Young Swords, the Nationalists. 3. Stay away from any political organisation. 1. 1928, Swordish Civil War, June 2nd. The radio relayed that the Communist General Rickard surrounded Lutheran and his troops, demanding their surrender. They refused and heavy fighting broke out across the country. You just couldn't believe it. The army was fighting amongst themselves. Swordland plunged into chaos. Rickard's sudden attack caused more instability in the country. But compared to fascist Lutheran, he was a real socialist. This convinced you to participate in a support march. You were chanting 1. Freedom, equality and solidarity. 2. Workers of the world, unite. 3. Bring down the fascists. 3. You were marching under the protection of Rickard's soldiers. The students supporting Lutheran's coup gathered a few hundred meters in front of you. Many nationalists were among them. You knew something was going to happen. 1. You stayed. 2. You left. There was a massive clash between the two sides. Soldiers began to beat the students. Tanks started rolling forward. In this chaotic moment, you saw a young girl about to get run over by a tank. 1. You ran to save her. 2. You warned her. 1. But you couldn't reach her in time. You never forgot her face. The clashes escalated into a full-blown civil war. The horrors made you isolate yourself for a while. Monica helped you cope, and love grew between the two of you. However, it was a difficult time for love. The chaos had to end. 1929, Sol restores the Republic. The charismatic Colonel Tarquin Sol orchestrated a sudden attack on the capital where the Lutheranist and Ricardist forces were battling each other. He defeated both, ending the war. A new constitution was written. The military government began efforts to restore stability. Many people saw the colonel as a saviour. He formed the United Swordland Party and ran as a presidential candidate. In the first ever single-party elections, 1. You voted for the United Swordland Party. 2. You did not vote. 1. 1929, June. USP won the election by a large majority. The military government announced a 4-year restoration period to transform to an entirely civilian government. After graduation, you kept seeing Monica. You were both interested in marrying and starting a family. However, a letter arrived from the military, calling you to fulfill your compulsory service. It was time to serve your national duty. (1930) Velin Civil War. Persia region. February. The devastating civil war from neighbouring Velin quickly turned into a proxy war between regional and world powers. The distinguished Major Yosef Lancia ordered you to lead your squad on a border patrol mission. It was a very cold winter night when you began marching out of Gumran outpost. You could see your breath. After several hours of marching through the snowy hills, distant noises were heard. Visibility was too low to confirm the source, so the squad crawled forward in formation and found a spot to observe. A group of refugees had made it beyond the border fence. You, 1. escorted them back. 2. let them slip through. 1. Refugees were in despair when they realised that you were taking them back to the border. Screams and protests ensued as they were restrained. You delivered them to the border guards. After several months of military service, your duties ended and you went back to civilian life. 1931, July, Holsword. You and Monica decided to share your lives together. After receiving the blessing of her parents, a ceremony was held in Holsword. During the same year, you were offered a high-paying job within the governing United Swordland Party. It was important to start your career on a good foot, so you accepted it. 1. Working for the ruling party was the easiest path to power. 2. The financial compensation was too great to pass up. 3. It was the best opportunity to change the country for the better. 3. You became the legal assistant to one of the more experienced members of Assembly. You worked long and hard, going through hundreds of pages of legal documents late into the night. You were climbing the ladder. 1933, Stolz's second election win. September, Holsword. Tarquin Sol gave amnesty to the remaining factions of the Civil War and chose de-escalation and appeasement. The institutions and symbols of the former kingdom were slowly replaced. His government launched several new initiatives, such as the citizen-funded builds program to revitalise the economy, a social labour initiative to help rebuild and improve society, and a large dam project to solve the energy crisis. The first multi-party elections in the history of Swordland were held. President Tarquin Sol was elected once more. 1934, April 2nd. The ongoing legal battle between the Justice Ministry and the Supreme Court put you under a lot of stress. But your significant contribution to the legal case triggered an invitation to meet President Tarquin Sol himself, who offered you a key position. You were to become the youngest member of Assembly. 1. You accepted right away. 2. You accepted with doubts. 1. 1937, Sol's third election win. 1938, June, rising career. As the youngest MP, it was difficult to connect with the influential inner circle. You needed allies, so you brought on Peter Vectern as your right-hand man. The birth of your son, Frank, provided a brief moment of joy and relief. You, 1. Sacrificed work to spend time with your family. 2. Sacrificed family time to improve your position in the party. 2. 1941, Sol's fourth election win. October. Along with Peter Vectern, you did great things to cement your position in the party. Meanwhile at home, Monica and Frank felt your absence. At the same time, President Sol increased his authority over the years. His growing ego started to cause strife within the USP. The cracks began to show. 1945, Sol's fifth election win. October. President Sol barely secured a majority in the election against the opposition leader. Over the next year, the Swordish people grew increasingly discontent with corruption and the worsening quality of life. Economic growth was slowing down. Meanwhile, calls for a united Swordland Party Congress became louder as a leadership struggle started to brew. You, 1. Watched from the sidelines. 2. Kept supporting the president. 3. Joined the internal opposition. 2. 1946, July. The contender for party leadership was Evald Alfonso, a reformist and talented business magnate with a growing follower base within the party. President Sol noted your attempts to secure votes for him and approached you with a lucrative deal. You had a meeting with him. The president offered you the position of Minister of Justice and Law in the next government if you backed him in the upcoming vote. 1. You accepted. 2. You rejected. 1. 1946, August. The Congress was nothing short of impressive. The banners of the United Swordland Party were decorating every possible spot. Thousands of influential political figures, lobbyists and benefactors gathered for this turning point. The voting for the party leadership began. 1. You voted for Tarquin Sol. 2. You voted for Evald Alfonso. 1. 1946, September 1st. Alfonso is USP chairman. Unfortunately, Tarquin Sol lost the leadership vote to Evald Alfonso by a small margin. During the Congress, Sol announced he would retire from politics at the end of his term and appointed Alfonso as vice president. The systems he had established were to stay much longer. His achievements wouldn't be forgotten. You, 1. were happy that Sol was finally leaving. 2. were troubled by the departure of Sol. 3. didn't care about who was in charge. 2. 1946, October 15th. Uncertain years. A month later, your daughter was born. Monica named her Diana. She motivates you during a tumultuous period in the party. As the VP and the leader of the USP, Evald Alfonso began dismantling the old organisations and structures established by the USP, such as the State Educators Corps and the Swordish State Corporation Bills. The general elections were approaching. The United Swordland Party was under new leadership. You, 1. joined the party effort and campaigned for him. 2. did your best not to help him. 1. 1949. Saul resigns and Alfonso elected. October 15th. During the general elections, the main opposition leader was embroiled in a sex scandal with his secretary. He was replaced by the more popular figure, Franz Richter, but the damage had been done. The new economic policies and the extensive privatization program proposed by Ewald Alfonso secured an election victory for the United Sordland Party. Over the following years, you 1. Did your best in order to make Sordland a better place. 2. Tried all that was necessary to climb up the ladder. 3. Dedicated yourself to the party and its success. 3. 1951. Summer. Economic crisis. The presidency of Alfonso saw many bold reforms in government and law and advancements in liberal democratic values. He valued your support throughout. However, due to infighting and disorganization, continental economic tensions, and fast-track privatization, it was followed by a severe economic recession. The other parties announced their bids for the 1953 election, but the unfair election system hampered opposition efforts to campaign. You, 1. Thought that your party could not survive another crisis. 2. Were worried about the economic recession. 3. Worried that your reputation would be tarnished along with Alfonso. 1. 1952, October. Rise of Reign. With Peter's help, your presence in the USP grew. The two of you worked long nights together. He flipped opponents to your side. You became the face of a new wing of the party. Step by step and with adequate planning, your wing took over the leadership as President Alfonso lost control of the country. The moment to make a move had come. You, 1. Blamed Alfonso for the crisis on television. 2. Bribed and extorted Alfonso's inner circle. 3. Advised Alfonso to step down. 3. 1953. An emerging candidate. March. He listened to your advice. Alfonso conceded the leadership struggle and the party eventually voted you in because of your indisputable influence. Following this, you announced that you would be running for president in the general election with Peter as your running mate. It was your turn. 1953 elections. October. After visiting every city and town during the campaign, you made a speech on state television. You promised to 1. Enact democratic reforms. 2. Preserve national values. 2. Great nation of Sordland, due to our incompetent leadership, enemies both internal and external are influencing our glorious nation. Today, more than ever, we need to unite under one flag and protect our values. Breki Sordland. Broadcast ended. November 5th. On election day, millions went out to cast their votes. It was time to face the truth. And that's where the prologue ends. We'll pick this back up next time with chapter 1, turn 1, and we'll do a turn for video as planned, and we'll see where we go from there. See you next time.